If you're running ads on Meta and all of a sudden your ads have recently gone to shit, then I'm going to explain potentially what might have caused it and how to fix it. My name's Elliott, and over the last 8 years or so, I have spent millions and millions of dollars on Meta ads. I started working in a very big advertising agency, running ads for the likes of Amazon, Audible, Pokemon, all these huge companies, spending millions a month. And I then quit back in 2020, launched my own agency, which again specialized in running ads. And for 5 years, I scaled that, grew that, and eventually sold it, having generated around £150 million in revenue for our clients, pretty much largely through Meta ads. And so I'm now helping build Entrepreneur Circle from an 8-figure business into a 9-figure business. And again, we spend thousands of pounds every single day on Meta ads, and it's the primary driver of a lot of our business. So I'm in these ad accounts, I know what's going on, and so hopefully what I'm about to share will be very useful to you. And so the reason I'm making this video, I actually just received a Slack message from an ex-client literally about 2 hours ago. And they reached out because all of a sudden their performance on Meta over the last couple of months has completely fallen off a cliff. And so this client is based out in the US. They have a kind of health and wellness centered business, and their primary funnel is a live webinar. So they run these live webinars and they use Meta ads to drive leads to sign up, and they then sell them on a $3,000 coaching program on the webinar. And so their cost per lead over the last few months has just like tripled, which as a result has messed up all of their webinar conversion stats, and their customer acquisition costs has just gone through the roof, and it's no longer profitable anywhere near the level that it was before, especially when we were back managing it. And so she asked me out of desperation, really, can you dive in and have a look and see what's going on? And I said, you know what, of course, happy to help, happy to help. So I jumped into the account, started having a little mosey around, and it immediately became obvious what was going on here. So I looked in the accounts, the campaigns had been structured, and they were running, literally, even though we stopped working with them many, many months ago, still running, literally a handful of creatives. There were only 6 ad creatives in these campaigns, and the majority of them were ads that we had made literally like last year. And so these ads were just brutally fatigued. So I'm not sure why they were running those, to be honest. But as a result, the cost per lead had gone through the roof. And so this is the first critical concept you need to understand, and it is that of creative fatigue. And so this is the fact that over time, the performance of an ad will decrease as more and more people see it. And so this is a result of what we call frequency, which is the total number of times someone has seen an ad creative. Because typically, no one buys the first time they see an ad creative. Because you're a stranger. It's their literally first time ever seeing your face. And so what typically happens is the Meta platforms and similar will show your ad to the same group of people over and over again until they've seen it 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. Because it's typically on the 3rd or 4th or sometimes even 7, 8, 9, 10th time that the person actually consumes what you're saying, has enough familiarity with you that they feel confident to take action, and ultimately they convert. So this process takes a little bit of time. Now, the challenge is, if your ads are not that good, or they're pretty mediocre ads, what will happen is you'll run them, you'll get some results from them, but then the platform is stuck showing these ads to the same people over and over again. And they begin to become inefficient or less effective. Because now you end up with the people that are now seeing your ad 10, 11, 12 times, and they haven't converted because they're just not interested in the ad, but they're still seeing it. And so you start to see your overall ad cost shoot up because of the way the platforms behave. So the core lesson there is typically you need to be producing new ad creative on a weekly or monthly basis. Weekly if you're a very serious advertiser, spending multiple thousands of dollars every single month. Less so if you're only running on small budgets. But even so, back in the day, we could very easily get away with having 1 or 2 super high performing ad creatives that would just serve us for a very long time. And they would just run and run and run and just consistently deliver great results for us. However, in July 2025, a very significant update happened to the Meta ads platform that you need to be aware of. And it actually has changed the landscape as far as creative output and volume is concerned. So this update was called the Andromeda update, and the whole machine learning that powers Facebook's AI and who it chooses to show your ads to was greatly transformed. And so the reason this update was pushed was because of all of the additional AI features that Facebook and Meta have been rolling out to try and help us advertisers. Because you'll see now when you're in an ad platform, there's all sorts of these Advantage Plus features and AI enhancements that the Facebook platform will make to your ad creative. So when you upload an ad creative, for example, it will use AI to create variations that are cropped. It will change the color contrast, it will zoom in on different bits, it will overlay text as headlines, and a bunch of other stuff. And so the output is here, we feed it one creative, it then makes a bunch of different variations using these AI enhanced features, and as a result, the algorithm now has to deal with many more variants of creative. And so the algorithm needed an overhaul in order to cope with this mass increase of creative variants that Facebook itself has created through these AI features. And so this new Andromeda update is designed to massively improve kind of the processing power of the algorithm, but ultimately to enable it to handle and cycle through a lot more creative much quicker. And so this is why many people's ad accounts have blown up in July and in August, is because they've had this new ad account update, they've got Andromeda, but they do not have enough significant creative diversity or variety within their accounts, and as a result, the algorithm is penalizing them massively. So the new way to win and the new operating model on Meta ads is you have to have a creative production pipeline. You need to be churning out 15 to 50 new ads every single week to feed the algorithm and make it happy. If you do not do this, you will see your CPMs will shoot up, your cost per conversion will shoot up massively, and overall the ads will look very inefficient. And this is the new algorithm penalizing you for not giving it enough creative diversity. So the way to win on Meta currently is to get really good at making ad creative and to make a lot of it. Now, for many people, the idea of making 50 creatives a week sounds insane, right? How on earth do you even manage that? And actually, it's really quite simple. So we use a modular ad filming technique, which means when we look to create video ads, which is, again, primary source of traffic for us at the moment, largely because of Reels and the Instagram Reels inventory, where a lot of people are using Instagram, they're using Reels, therefore a lot of the available ad impressions are on Reels, therefore you want portrait video because then you'll show up there. And so we're getting a lot of conversions from that. So this modular ad filming, it applies for videos, and what we do is we separate an ad out. So we separate it typically into three components: the hook, the body, and then the call to action. So the hook is obviously the opening line, the very first thing people see, the most important part, because if we don't stop them with the hook, guess what? The rest of the ad doesn't matter. So we go really hard on hooks. We will make 10, 20, 30 different hooks for a single filming session. And because they're only short, they take no time at all to film. We will then look and create maybe 2 bodies, which are basically the core part of the ad, the middle bit, where we explain who we are, what's going on, and the kind of value proposition. And then we have a CTA that we stitch onto the end, just very clear and direct, click the link, book a call, whatever it might be. And so we'll normally only create 2 of those as well. So in a typical modular ad filming session, we'll have 10 hooks, 2 bodies, and 2 CTAs, film them all individually, and then we stitch them together. Because if we have 10 hooks and 2 bodies and 2 CTAs, well, 10 times 2 is 20, and 20 times 2 is 40. So by doing that, you get 40 ad variations that you can upload, and it takes literally half an hour to film if you do it properly. So modular ad filming is the way for video ads. That's how you can crank up your production. What we then do is, as soon as we have winning ads, winning hooks, guess what? Next week, we're looking at them, asking ourselves why we think this winning hook works so well, and then boom, we create 20, 30 more hooks, and we film those and we stitch them on top of the winning body, call to action, etc. And the cycle continues. Now, we're always making sure 80% plus of our budget is going on like winning assets, and 20% is going on testing new stuff. But by injecting this variety, you will immediately see overnight, if you do this, how the Facebook algorithm will give you a massive boost and your results should improve ginormously. Quick little note on hooks. People always think the hook is literally just the sentence, but you cannot underestimate the fact of the visual hook. So the visual hook being, visually, what are they seeing on the screen? What's the background? Where are you? How well framed is the person? What's the lighting? Is there any interesting props around them? Adding in visual hooks can absolutely just turbocharge this. And so sometimes we'll do the whole modular ad filming, but we'll do it in one location, and then we'll go and do it in another location, and then another location. And then once we have a winning hook, we might just film that same winning hook an additional 10 times, but this time with 10 different backgrounds, whether we're in a studio, walking along outside, whatever it might be. But we change the visual hook as well, because that's a key variable that the audience and the algorithm will take note of, and again, it will help you massively improve your performance. So the good news is, if your ads are all of a sudden really expensive in July and August, it's not that Facebook's broken. It's probably not that your funnel's broken either. It's probably that you're suffering from creative fatigue and that you probably don't have enough creative diversity and variety within your ad account. So try this out. Comment below if it works for you, but I'm pretty confident it will. And stay tuned for any more ad updates. My name is Elliott. I hope you found this useful. Again, I make these videos because we learn all this stuff the hard way, being deep in the trenches, and I hope you find it useful and that it helps you too. Peace.